Welcome to Full Contact Marriage. I'm Scott, this is my wife Stephanie, and we're going to talk about sports. First thing we're going to talk about is the Taylor Hall hit on whoever it was he hit.
Some Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, if you didn't see it last night, check it out. There's a lot of similar hits in the past I've seen. I believe it was Colby Armstrong from Pittsburgh, caught a guy coming around the net one time, and he wasn't penalized for that one. But I know that the league is really trying to cut down on the shots to the head and the injuries and the player protection. Do you think this falls into one of those guy in a vulnerable position rules that they're trying to get out of the game?
I agree that his head was down, but I think that's on him. I think Taylor Hall went through the body. He didn't leave the ice, and I think it was a clean hit. I don't like that he had to be stretchered off the ice, and I'm sure Taylor Hall doesn't like that that was the outcome of it either. But as a hit itself, I think he was totally within the rules.
He was within the rules. I don't think there was an intent to injure. However, he probably could have laid up on the guy.
He was gliding. He didn't come in strong.
He led with the shoulder.
Yeah, but whoever he hit went through his shoulder. But because then the guy had his head down, and it ended up being a bigger hit than it meant to be. Keep your head up.
But that's the whole reason why they have the vulnerable person rule. Is if you catch a guy with his head down at center ice and he hits him. There's been situations like this in the Edmonton game too, where the guy throws one up to the guy at the blue line and he hits him. I think it's fine myself, but it does have injuries.
It does. But I also think you should know where everyone on the ice is. And I don't think you should have your head down and be looking for the puck. Know that he's there.
Yes. And in a game that goes that fast, I think the onus is on the hitting player to make sure that they're not hitting from behind and they're not hitting for the head. And
I don't think he was aiming for the head. I think it was a good hit, and I think hits needs to stay in the game.
It does, but these are injuries. Who knows how long that guy's going to be out if he is. Right? Mm-hmm. And Taylor Hall knows about being out on the sidelines from injuries. Didn't his own player step on his face once?
And that guy got pretty close to having that injury too.
Yeah, from his own players skating in.
Yeah. They need to good on the goalie for protecting him. And there was another guy that was trying to protect the one on the ice. But yeah, those players need to be aware that you're coming in hot, but there's somebody that needs some medical attention, and you should probably make sure that whatever you're doing isn't interfering with the medical team's ability to help that person.
What do you think after the hit when the guy's laying there on the ice? I'm all for having emotion in a game, but they almost stepped on the guy and kicked him in the head trying to get to somebody. Him. You know, he could have had a serious neck injury. They could, there's...
It's just so hard because, like you said, it's a game that moves so quick. So how can you... You're just trying to go for it and try and, you saw a hit that you didn't like, well, you didn't like the outcome. So you're just skating in and, try to make your presence felt and show what you thought of the hit. I just think that, if players are going to have to be more aware about hitting, you also have to be aware of the guy laying on the ice.
Taylor Hall throws one hit in his career, and everybody talks about it.
One hit.
The Jays, Edwin's gone. What do you think about that?
Well, I get it. They offered Bautista and him qualifying offers, and the fact that they wanted to go look around is up to them. He didn't have a fantastic year. He had a good year last year. I think what they were offering, in the grand scheme of things, I get that it's a different numbers game than what, some of us are working for. So $80 million for a contract is just staggering to me. But to, turn your nose up at that and try and go and find more, I think is ridiculous. And I think it's the Jays had every right to go and, fill the gap without him.
I think that they did well. I agree full-heartedly with where they went. They gave him a very good offer. He hasn't gotten that offer from anybody else. So they were willing to overpay him to have him there. And he thought he was going to do better somewhere else. They got into a game of chicken. The Jays decided, you know what? This is our offer. Take it or leave it. And they went out and signed some other players. So good for the Jays for sticking to their guns. I think they're still going to have a pretty decent team next year.
For sure.
Like they've picked up some hits. They picked up some defense, some offense, and they're still shopping. Where I don't think that was available if they signed Edwin. The other thing too that we have to keep in mind is when Edwin goes to another team, whoever that is, for whatever money, chances are he's not going to have the lineup around him. So he's going to be pitched out to a lot more than he did at the Jays. Because there was a lot of times where they should have pitched out to him, but they couldn't because Donaldson was behind him, or Bautista, or pretty much anybody in that lineup was around him. So they had to pitch to Edwin, or they had to pick and choose when they
not that they
could
never
pitch around.
Yeah,
him.
not that they never,
So when he goes to another team, out of the other ones that are potential candidates, I don't see anybody that goes in front of him or behind him that I would say we pitched to Edwin. Edwin's going to see half the balls he saw last year. His pitches are going to be more borderline, and I don't think he's going to put up the same numbers because he's chose to go somewhere else.
Because he's going to be standing on first for a lot of the season. I think even with the NHL, I think this is definitely a good thing that the NHL should also look at. I don't like it when a player has a really good season and they still have another year left on their contract and management offers them a huge lucrative contract, and then they don't put up the same numbers, or they get complacent because they have an 8-year deal in the NHL.
Look at the sophomore slump. There's a reason why people have trouble in their second year, is because the other teams, the other goalies now have video that they can watch of them. And it's the same as baseball. They know where to pitch Edwin. They know in what counts he's going to swing at what. So going to the hockey world, it's a lot tougher the second year. Look at McDavid. Look at his second year. Sure, he's being successful, but there was like 10 games he didn't have a goal, and the whole world was collapsing. But it's just adjusting, and the good players find ways to adjust. In baseball, it's a little harder because there's you and the pitcher, and the pitcher knows what you can hit and what you can't hit.
If you look at Yuri Hudler, who played with the Calgary Flames, and they had extended his contract after he had his career season, his next year wasn't nearly as good. Traded him away, and then after he had to sign his new contract as a UFA, he didn't get the money that he would have gotten if that last season had been the season prior to it. If that career year had been his last one, he would have gotten so much more money.
I think a good example of this is the Sedin twins in Vancouver. They had the cup run, and they should have got rid of them then. I believe they signed them to an extension around that time frame. Now the whole team is suffering because of that decision, because they had one good year. They're good players, but they're getting older. And I think that's one of the things that the Jays looked at when they were doing their contracts was, we have two guys that, they might be good this year. They might be okay the year after, but what are we going to get for that?
I like shorter contracts. When the NHL PA and they signed the new CBA, I was ecstatic that they put in contract limits. And so to have a 7 or 8 year contract limit, depending on where you are, I love that. I even think it's too long. I think it helps encourage movement around the league, but I also think that it makes sure that you're not tied into somebody who is just not performing at the level that you thought they were going to. I think it protects the team as well, and it protects the fans. You're not stuck watching DiPietro try and be your goalie.
Well, that's it for us here at Full Contact Marriage. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Subscribe to our channel so you can stay up to date on all of our videos. We want to hear from you. Let us know if you agree, disagree, if there's a topic you want us to cover, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks.